Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us in yet another session at the VWO webinars, where we always try to upgrade you and inspire you with everything that comes around experimentation and conversion rate optimization. Today, I'm your host, Shilpa. I'm a marketing manager at VWO, a full funnel website experimentation platform. So as you can see, we have our guest already, who I feel a lot of people might know, or if you don't, you will know him after this presentation because he has a lot of insights to share with you guys. Welcome Miles Hoover from Hype Digital. He is a conversion scientist, optimization artist, and a content creator from Cape Town, having some wonderful experience in conversion optimization, landing page design, and UX reviews. Hi, Miles, how are you?
Hey guys, just want to say hi and yeah, thanks everyone for joining. Thanks for that awesome intro, Shilpa. Very excited to be here and to take you guys through some really cool, interesting ideas and the CRO recipe for next generation websites.
Yes. Before we begin, I hope audience can hear you well. Guys, please let us know if you are not able to hear. You can write it on the question panel or the chat options. Okay, I believe there are none. So before we begin, just a little housekeeping announcements. Everyone, if you have any questions during the presentation, please type them in the question box of your GoToWebinars control panel, and I'll bring them up during the presentation, and we will also have some time for the questions at the end. Without any further ado, I'll give over the mic to Miles. Please continue.
Fantastic. Awesome. So yeah, for those of you who don't know, conversion optimization is a fairly new and up and coming topic around the world. I know that where I'm from in South Africa, it's not super popular right now. It's sort of in its infancy stage. But in Europe and the Americas and the sort of eastern side of the world, it's definitely becoming a much more popular concept and essentially a way to get the most return on investment from your advertising budget. So essentially it was sort of born in the early 2000s from a need for e-commerce stores to improve their online performance, essentially get more add to carts, make that user experience and customer journey as seamless and smooth as possible. So CRO is the process of increasing the percentage of users or website visitors to take the desired call to action that you want them to take. Initially, this might seem like a fairly simple task, but as you head further and further down the rabbit hole, you'll realize how complicated and complex it really is. My experience with conversion optimization, it's just one of those things where you just have to learn as much as you go, and sometimes the teacher, always the student. But basically, from a user experience and landing page design perspective, all the way through to neuromarketing and persuasive psychology, it's a much broader concept and topic than it seems at face value. And personalization specifically is where things get really exciting. It's essentially a way of boosting and upgrading your already conversion optimization campaigns and strategies, and really just trying to boost that conversion rate as much as you can alongside your A/B testing and your experimentation. So sort of in summary, personalization is the art of using what you know about your customers, about your visitors and your users, to educate them on your product, when they're in that conversion mindset. And I think that's mainly the real tricky part about this, is to know when they are in that conversion mindset and to try to persuade them as much as possible to arrive at that conversion mindset. And by persuade, I mean taking your customers or your users on a journey without them even realizing it, to bump, persuade, and influence them to be in that conversion mindset when you need them to be. So essentially, we're trying to show our users and our customers what they need to see and when they need to see it. But even better than that, showing potential customers what you need them to see when you need them to see it. So when you need them to click on a specific button and take the desired action that will make your business, your company, more money. And hopefully putting your company in a position where you're turning your website into a significant stream of revenue for the business. So I like to say that CRO is the keystone of your e-commerce or SaaS business, but personalization is the keystone of boosting CRO performance. So what does personalization in the context of conversion optimization really mean, and why is it, you know, all the rage these days? So I want to tell you a bit about an experience that I had recently, which I think would hopefully put this into a really good context. For those that don't know me, I consider myself a chef in most kitchens, and I love to follow cooking shows on Netflix. And one of my favorite shows recently, I'm not sure if you get it in the markets where you're all from, but it's called Somebody Feed Phil. And basically, it's a well-known American producer, writer, executive called Philip Rosenthal. And he basically travels the world and goes to various cities and towns, and more specifically, well-known restaurants in those places. And he just goes and he tries food, and he's this really interesting, quirky guy, and he's really amusing to watch. But when he was in Ireland in one of his specific shows, he went to an ice cream store called Murphy's Ice Cream. And earlier this year, when my fiance and I were touring Southern Ireland, we went to the west coast of Ireland to a little fishing town called Dingle. And Dingle is where Murphy's Ice Cream was created. It's where it all started. So naturally, we had to go and check out this little ice cream store. So my fiance and I walked into the store, and before we had even had a chance to peruse the menu, we had a lovely Irish employee come up to us and greet us. And being from South Africa, where the market, for sort of brick and mortar stores is slightly different, where, as soon as you walk in, you'll get pitched a product, or you'll try to get upsold on something, or whatever it might be. She simply just greeted us, and she asked us how we are and where we're from. And we were a bit taken aback, and we thought, this is quite strange. What's sort of going on here? But at no point in that conversation did she try to sell us the ice cream. She, found out more about us and asked us more about, being from South Africa, what Cape Town is like, asked us how long we were in Ireland for and what we were getting up to, and then even made a few recommendations and suggestions as to some sites that we should go and see and some activities we should do. So I remember saying to my fiance at the time, this is a super interesting experience, and obviously that Southern Irish accent is so nice to hear, but we were pretty surprised that she hadn't, tried to sell us anything. Anyway, so we bought some ice cream, and we tasted it, and the product itself was amazing. But we then couldn't help coming back the next day. And when we came back to Murphy's the next day, the same employee was there, greeted us by name, and asked us, how our trip is going, asked us if we had been to this fish and chip place that she recommended. And basically, we had this even more personalized, tailored experience. So then we ended up going back a third day, and after we walked into the store, she recognized us for a third time, and she said, we've just brought out a fresh batch of the Irish brown bread flavor, and you guys have to try it. We know you love this specific flavor, but also we would love for you to try our frozen yogurt. So I left there, having bought more ice cream each, but also being cross-sold or upsold to buying frozen yogurt. So essentially what we're saying here is that is personalization in its simplest form. They've used tactics and their sort of brick and mortar in-store analytics to figure out the best way to sell people on their ice cream without directly selling their ice cream. So I just thought that I couldn't help but think about this story, and I remember coming back from Ireland, how many friends and family I told of this experience. So they're then getting that sort of free word of mouth marketing by not spending a cent. So for me, that relates so much to what personalization is in the concept of conversion optimization, and what it can really mean for your CRO campaigns and implementing CRO across your website. So there's three sort of main ideas that I wanted to present today and take you guys through, which I think would be really relevant in the digital space. So the first is the store. It's understanding your users, understanding your visitors. When people arrive on your site or they see your ad, you need to try to understand them in a way that your competitors don't. So what do you want them to see, and when do you want them to see what you want them to see? And then the next concept is your product. How are you going to communicate your product in the best way that makes the most sense? So speaking to the ice cream itself, or whatever your product might be on your website that you're pitching, how do you personalize that website experience for every user? And that I think is a really unique idea, because back in the day, companies used to lean so much on aesthetic for their website. But these days, to have a fairly good looking site is useful, but the site needs to be functional, and it needs to sell itself to every type of visitor. And that concept is really hard to get right, but we'll touch on a little bit more on that just now. And then the third concept is that cross-sell or upsell. How do you then retarget them or show them an ad one more time, or show them a landing page or a website that has evolved in a way that is pitching them exactly what they're potentially looking for, especially if they are an existing customer. So in the case of an e-commerce store, if they've already bought your Nike sneakers, but now you want to upsell them on the Nike tracksuit, how do you know how to go about doing that? So breaking it down slightly further, I wanted to look at post-click, on-page, and post-conversion experiences today. So based on what I've just touched on, but your post-click is how do you combine your ad campaigns all together and guide them in a direction that is going to move the user after they've clicked on the ad itself on the page itself that has been tailor-made and is entirely bespoke for that specific user, the experience that you want them to have with your website. And then lastly, what is your post-click experience like? What is your or rather post-conversion? Once they've either already bought the sneakers or they've already signed up to your platform, what are you then how are you then going to upsell them and increase that lifetime value of that customer? Make sure that they're a loyal customer that speaks highly of your company, highly of your brand, and essentially will stay with you and your business for the longest time. So these are the three main ideas that I want to focus on with respect to the personalization experience. I think, Philippa, do we have a poll that we want to run quickly? So we're going to be running a couple of polls during the course of this webinar, and I think it would be awesome if you will just jump in and engage with the polls. And they're multiple choice, and there's 2 answers for each. Obviously, one is not the right answer, one is definitely the right answer. So we'll run these polls for a couple minutes at a time. And basically, in a very simple way, it's almost a little bit of A/B testing to see, what the knowledge is amongst the viewers today, and just to be able to engage with this at a later time. So, does personalization have an impact on SEO rankings? I think that's a really interesting question that I've seen and experienced a lot of, with my experience with conversion optimization. And the answer may not be as simple as it might seem, but it is a really, really interesting question to look at. So let's move on to the next slide. So first, we're going to jump into this post-click experience and look at combining the so that's just looking at the poll there, going back to the poll. That's really interesting because personalization contributes to a more relevant customer experience overall, and essentially boosts the performance of your website by reducing the bounce rate and increasing engagement. So it does have an impact on SEO rankings, but in a positive way, which is really important to note as well. So just moving back to the slides here, looking at your post-click experience. So essentially what we're saying is you are going to have multiple different campaigns running at any given time. In this particular example, we're going to refer just to Google search campaigns, and you are sending a whole lot of your traffic to one specific page itself. So what we're saying here is what is that experience like, and what is that continuity like? So when the visitor sees the specific ad and then clicks on the ad, are you being mindful of that experience being seamless from clicking on the ad through to the specific page that they're going to land on? How do you make that experience as seamless as possible and make sure that the headline that they see on the ad is going to be the headline that they see in the first container on the landing page? And then you can start going a little bit further and start thinking about things like, are we showing all of these different ad groups the same call to action button? Are we showing them the same user reviews that we have on our landing page? And are we showing them the same type of subhead copy? As you scroll further than that, are we showing them the same emotive hierarchy throughout the landing page? Are we communicating our unique selling propositions and everything else as they scroll further down the page? And if we are showing everybody that, why are we doing that, and how do we think about personalizing that and making it that every single ad group sees a different landing page? So what we're saying is that by personalizing, dropping a script on your landing page, on your website, and building your website in a way that, or building this personalization campaign in a way that you're able to personalize this landing page and change it and manipulate it based on the research that you've done and the ad groups that you have. And then essentially what you're doing is you're building one landing page, but there's hundreds and thousands of different versions of that landing page potentially. So you're sending all of this traffic through one landing page, but everybody's seeing something completely different. So you can see in the example on the right-hand side, we've got entirely different headlines there. So each headline is completely different and communicating a very different message depending on who the individual is that's clicked on it, and what we want that experience to be for them. So you can see in this example as well, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to build relevancy, and by building relevancy, by creating that seamless integrated experience, we're getting the trust up as much as possible. So over time, we're building trust with our visitors, with our users, and they are seeing this sort of high quality experience from the landing pages, from the ads that we're running. They're clicking on the ads, they're arriving on this landing page, communicating the same message, and they're starting now to sort of be persuaded in their mind. They're thinking, okay, these guys are pretty up to scratch with this sort of experience that I'm having, and the landing page that I've arrived on based on the ad that I clicked on because that ad connected with me and it made sense to me. Now this landing page is doing that even more so because I'm scrolling through it and I'm reading more, and I'm I've obviously been targeted really well, which is a really awesome experience as the user to have. So what we're essentially doing is we're using these UTMs, and depending on the ad campaign that they've come from, if it's Google search or if it's Facebook, that UTM is getting tracked in the URL, and it's pulling through to this landing page that's been designed to show a different headline, a more personalized headline. On the left hand side, we've got we may be targeting a specific type of user persona that's running a team, and they need this tool to manage their team. So we're using team in the copy, and we're communicating specifically with them. On the right hand side, we're possibly targeting a user that needs this tool just for themselves, and they just they might be running a consultancy business or doing contractual work from time to time just for them. So we are now targeting that specific user. So you can see how, by just simply changing the headline and minor details on these pages, we can target completely different people in a much more focused way. So, moving over to the on-page experience itself, and how we want to build these ICPs, these ideal customer profiles. There's an amazing tool called Clearbit, and you guys must definitely check it out. Super powerful tool. Basically allows you to build these ICPs, these ideal customer profiles from a whole range of different information. So they've got thousands of data points that they drop all over the place, and they essentially pull all of these data points into one place to build this ideal customer profile, and you're able to use that ICP, connect it, integrate it with your own IP, and then again target even more granularly, more specifically with your ad campaigns, with your landing pages, and tailor make these landing pages to your specific ICPs. So pulling them through, basically showing them a range. Again, you're essentially building the structure of one landing page itself, but you're able to send out hundreds of different variations of these pages to thousands of different users and visitors, so that you're able to really just focus these campaigns so much more in a way that you would never have been able to do before. So incrementally over time, you're slowly just bumping that conversion rate up, you're getting more clicks, because all of these pages, all of these places that your users, your visitors are arriving, are places that make sense to them. The messaging connects with them. I think, Shilpa, let's maybe jump into one of those other polls. I think the next poll is about CRO or personalization. Don't forget to drop in any questions, guys. If you have any, feel free. So this is a really interesting question: chicken or the egg? Which comes first, CRO or personalization? This is just thinking of as I mentioned earlier, CRO is a fairly new concept, but personalization is something that we've started to play around with a lot more. But what we're trying to get at here is which one complements the other, and do you need one? Do you need both of them together, or can you just run one at a time? Yeah, so that poll is pretty accurate. So essentially, you must be running conversion optimization, and this is something that we communicate with potential clients all the time. Is that it's not something that you should only do for your marketing campaigns, but it should seamlessly integrate with your existing marketing campaigns. What we're saying is that don't run it by itself, because it's not gonna do what it needs to do. CRO needs to connect with your PPC campaigns. It needs to connect with your full user experience and user journey on your websites and your landing pages. And then by slapping personalization on top of that, you're really just going to boost that ROI as much as you possibly can, until you can start guiding the blame a little bit more to maybe the designers or the creatives, that their work is not good enough. But as long as you've got an amazing personalization campaign running on top of your conversion optimization, you'll definitely be in the best possible place to really get great results. So you can see, you know, in this particular case here, we had a conversion rate of 5.6%, but by implementing Clearbit and understanding, you know, these B2B firmographics, being able to speak to the right people at the right time, we were able to more than double that conversion rate. And, you know, that's, you know, proof in the pudding. It just goes to show that connecting with these people, showing them what you need them to see when you need them to see it, is really how you're just going to take advantage of that ad spend and be able to, you know, go back to the clients and say, like, guys, our reports are looking amazing, and hopefully over time get more budget for the ad campaigns. So something else that's really interesting, and yeah, it's amazing how we've seen users or visitors really connect with location-based targeting, is that instead of using that sort of generic headline, generic copy, by targeting you know, the user specifically where they're based, even as granularly as the city they're from, in the headline itself, you can connect with them and you can say, instead of saying reach millions of buyers, renters, sellers, you know, in the case of a property company, you can now say reach millions of Australian buyers, renters, or sellers, or vendors. So by targeting that specific area, what you're doing is you're connecting with that emotive feeling in the visitor, because now they feel as if they, you know, are being shown content that connects with them, and that's, you know, means something to them, because this is where they're from. This is, you know, their home. This is amazing for them to see that they've clicked on an ad and it's taken them through to a page that knows exactly where they're from. So definitely with you know, running location-based targeting as well, and making sure that your landing pages are optimized specifically for where your visitors are from. So, you know, we're looking at these ideal customer profiles. We're looking at all of the various different characteristics from job role, job title, job function. We're able to, you know, tailor make the messaging and connect them with that. Now to sort of location-based targeting, you can see how over time your conversions are just going to really skyrocket and do exactly what you need them to do. In this particular case, we were able to get that conversion rate up from, what did we say, 4.5 to 7.2%, which is, you know, depending on the size of the deal itself, which in the case of this client is really big. If you're working with a big deal size, and you know, every conversion optimizes dream is to have as many website visitors as possible, because the smallest, you know, incremental changes that you make, and by running only a couple of personalization campaigns, you can really generate some amazing results. So, you know, in the case of, you know, almost doubling that conversion rate with a big deal size, you're really going to see some awesome results. So now, lastly, we're sort of moving on to this post-conversion and this ideal customer profile, and we sort of closing that all in. And what we're saying now is you can convert your existing pipeline into your secret upsell weapon. So by integrating this ICP, this customer profile, with your CRM tool, and by means of API, you can then essentially have used all of this existing information that you have to have this entirely personalized, bespoke, tailor-made experience through connecting with these ad groups and these ICPs, and they're seeing all of these different experiences, especially if they are returning visitors or existing customers. So you now know that by showing an existing customer or a returning visitor the information that is going to cross-sell them or upsell them on your site, there is just you know, more than double a chance that they're actually going to then become a customer again, or, you know, become a new customer if they're just a returning visitor. So by integrating your CRM directly, you are really now sort of you know, leaning on that perfect recipe based on the personalization campaign that you've just run, to now the sort of cherry on top of the cake, which is using the existing data that you have in your CRM to really focus and target these visitors. And it's amazing to find, we see it fairly often, but there's so much information in analytical tools that is not being used at all. So, what we're saying is, dive into your analytics, see what your customer profiles are looking like, and, figure out amazing, exciting ways that you can, target these people that are already in your system. So, by using, the site search tool is something that's like really, really popular. There's so much information in the site search analytical data in an analytics platform based on what people are just searching for on your site. If you do have that functionality, dive into that, go and check it out, see what people are searching for. Whatever it might be, if it's a specific soap that you're selling, or a sneaker, or a specific type of t-shirt, and that t-shirt is the most searched product on your e-com store, why is that not ranked higher up when you're listing your products? Or why is it not coming through in your homepage? Really push your most popular products and your most popular messaging in the header container and the subheader container. Make sure that you're speaking to those most popular products that you're selling, or to your most popular type of ICP visitor. Make sure that you're connecting with them, that you're using loosely based user personas, so that you have a really good idea of the type of people that are arriving on your site, so you know what type of language to use and how to connect with these people. And it's pretty amazing, but by putting this type of recipe together, what we're saying is, you can create your own IP, and that's what we've gone and done, is that we've built these amazing smart pages. And what we're saying is that we drop a script on your site, and we're able to personalize and tailor make every single page on a company's website, so that it speaks specifically to an individual. So just by building out one, either it be a static landing page or a page that's part of your HQ site itself, we can tailor make this entire experience for one type of person. And that's essentially what we're saying that personalization is at the end of the day. You're turning these experiences into these sort of smart experiences, and these pages themselves are becoming these smart pages, these dynamic text inserted pages that you're essentially showing to the right potential customer at the right time. So whatever type of lead that was coming through in the past is now going to be a much higher qualified lead, because that's the right person that has seen your ad, that has seen your campaign at the right time. You've persuaded them into this sort of conversion mindset, and they're ready to become a customer, and hopefully your lifetime value will be good enough so they'll stick with your company and speak fondly of your business for a long time into the future. And then just diving into just some sort of final thoughts here. So what we're saying is, personalization can be this really powerful tool, but it needs to be used in the right way, and you need to make sure that you work on this recipe that I referred to, and it's something that takes time. Personalization, when you set up your immediate campaigns, a lot of people can. Sorry, we're just jumping into a poll here. So, can you test the performance of your personalization campaigns? This is something that we need to understand and what that means, and how to sort of report on that. Because while you can be running a personalization campaign, how do you know if it is doing well, or how do you know if it's actually advantageous? So yeah, super interesting. Yeah, so definitely you can test them. There's various super powerful tools. I know that VWO has some awesome testing and experimentation software. You must definitely check that out. And we've been using them for a while now, and we've had some amazing results. It's definitely one of my favorite tools as well. And it's definitely, you know, VWO is a platform that every optimizer should be playing around with and investigating, because they are, you know, really forward thinking in this whole personalization concept, and you know, they're really thinking about the best way to build the software that you can, you know, put over your ad campaigns and create that amazing experience for your visitors. And then just another poll there, guys. So yeah, we're just saying, you know, you got to take the time to understand why you want to personalize your website, why you want to personalize these landing pages, and who you're essentially personalizing them for. Make sure that you really understand your target user persona. You really understand who exactly it is that you want to become a customer in the future, and why you want them, you know, to stay with your business for a long time. So it's important to make sure that you know, lock down those key performance indicators, and make sure that you're accurately measuring the performance. Track everything that you can. Implement your tag manager. Make sure that it's pulling through to your analytics tool, and then it should make your time, you know, working with VWO software an absolute breeze. So just collect the right mix of interesting, engaging, and relevant content, and build that ideal customer profile. Because, you know, understanding what personalization is and how it works won't be nearly as valuable as if you know exactly what that ideal customer profile is and what that looks like. I hope that I've shared a little bit of my experience with you guys, and some valuable information. And yeah, I think we'll take a few questions now.
Thank you, Miles. That was a very wonderful presentation. It was very insightful. I'm sure audience must have also loved it and learned a lot about it. Now, let's get on with the questions. Again, a reminder, please type your questions in the question box in your control panel.
I actually have a question, Miles. I mean, I might have covered it, but I think I personally must have missed it. You know, the question around the impact of personalization on SEO, right? I really would love to listen to it again. I mean, does it have any impact on the SEO front? Is it making the job more difficult for the people who are managing the SEO for a business?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. It's definitely not making the job more difficult. I think that if your campaigns are set up in the right way, they are, you know, only going to benefit your SEO, because you're essentially connecting with the right customer and the right people. So you know, personalization contributes to a much more relevant and personable full customer experience. So it will only increase the performance of your website and hopefully get more visitors to your site, you know, from that organic search or that targeted ad campaign. And as well, you know, if you're getting the right eyeballs on your site, if you're getting the right visitors on your site, then they will spend more time on your site. So you're reducing your bounce rate as well, which will, you know, slowly over time boost your SEO ranking too.
Yeah, that's a nice point. I mean, the other metrics, personalization is impacting them in a positive manner. The bounce rate, you mentioned it correctly. Bounce rate and pages per session. I think those other metrics, as long as those metrics are moving up and to the right, I believe there is absolutely zero sort of concern around, you know, having personalization impact on the SEO. Yeah, I mean that really answers my question. Thanks a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah, I see there is a question from Jeffrey Hain. Uh, would you like to come up on stage? I'll unmute you, Jeffrey. He's muted, I believe.
Yeah. Hi, Jeffrey. I think you're self-muted. It's okay if you. Oh, the microphone isn't working. Not a problem. Not a problem. Shilpa, you can read out the question.
There it
Yeah,
goes.
so
Okay. Can you hear me now?
question. Yeah,
Yes.
I can hear you.
Hi, Jeffrey.
On one of the slides, I saw a reference or mention to Unbounce and VWO, and was just curious if we needed to use both for landing page CRO and personalization.
Yeah, I mean, great question. I think you know, for actually sort of building the landing pages, Unbounce has been around for a while, and it's a really useful tool. But my experience, I've found that running the campaigns themselves, VWO is amazing, and it's got really powerful software in tailoring the page so that you can get as many variations of these pages in front of the right people. So I think if you want that more sort of holistic experience, VWO is the way to go for sure. But if you are starting out with an HTML builder, sometimes Unbounce can be a bit sticky. But yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where you got to spend some good time on it. But I think as I mentioned earlier, VWO is really super forward-thinking in the type of software that they're actually building for these sort of future optimizers. Because now that we've optimization has been around for 20 odd years now, we're starting to get a much stronger idea of exactly the type of software that we need to improve the user experience of these big e-com stores and these sign up SaaS businesses. So I would strongly recommend VWO.
Yeah, so we have next question from Tejasvi Jain. Tejasvi Jain, would you like to unmute yourself to ask the question?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
All right. So my question here is, so you gave us all an example of the Australian location content, right? So I was wondering, how can we achieve that sort of dynamism within content and ads? Do we need to write a copy according to that, or a VW or O or some other software is able to achieve that through to set up
Yes. Great
personalization
question.
or something else?
Great question. So VWO actually has software that allows you to target specifically based on user location. And so, by integrating VWO software and running that personalization campaign, you can target, the user where they're based. Yeah, we've got a team of devs that, look into that and make sure that the tracking is set up and all of that on that side. But yeah, as I say, VWO's got some really cool software.
So what other kind of filters or personalization do we see within VWO?
And yeah, also a good question. So there's loads. It's going to be one of those things that you must jump in and play around with. But there are a whole lot of things from job title, job role to location to yeah. I mean, there's just so many. But yeah, definitely worth playing around with.
I'll take that question because that's very product specific, Tejasvi. So and since this webinar is not meant to be a product pitch, but what I'll recommend you is we recently launched a feature, a product capability called VWO Personalize, and you can just Google VWO Personalize, or maybe I can put this up in the chat for everyone else to see, and you can have a look by yourself, features, and feel free to connect with the team to understand about the software even better, right? but just for everyone's interest, I'll avoid pitching the VWO product. But yeah, do check out the personalization platform that we've recently launched. Thanks for your question, Tejasvi. Yeah.
So I see we don't have any further questions. So yeah, have one more question from Virish Chandra. Would you like to come up on stage and take over, please? Hello, Virish?
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, I'm Weers from Netherlands. I'm wondering, I'm working at an insurance company, and yeah, currently we are not using personalization. But I was wondering, how do you start with personalization? So we are running some A/B tests in our funnel, in our product funnel. And yeah, we only set up A/B tests. So I'm wondering, if you are using personalization, what kind of tests are you then setting up? And how do you come up with some hypothesis? And yeah, to draw conclusions from there. And because we are starting with it, maybe do you have some advice how to start, because we don't have like a specific CMS which where we can personalize with, but you mentioned VWO, so I might check those options out. But is it also recommended to do that with your CMS, or completely run it via VWO? Couple of questions, so sorry for that.
No problem. Some great questions.
Yeah.
So I think that the main thing is to know exactly why you want to run personalization. So it's what I usually do is jump into our analytics tool, and I like to spend some good time on our landing page report. So the landing page report itself will tell me the bounce rate, it'll tell me the exit rate, it'll tell me the average session duration, and it'll give me a whole lot of data that I can start manipulating hypotheses with, or rather start building hypotheses. So, what I like to do, I'm just thinking through all of your different questions, but what I like to do is to meticulously go through this data and see where there are potential leaks and opportunities. So anything from a page not loading fast enough, to a really high bounce rate, to a really high exit rate. Why we can start formulating these questions. Why are users bouncing from this page so quickly? Why are they? Why is the average session duration on a specific page so low? Is there not enough information there? And then more to that, where are they coming from? So it's really important to understand where your users are coming from, and then what their actual experience is on the page. And then further than that, I like to implement behavior tracking tools on the pages themselves. So then we can start seeing things like heat maps. We can see click maps, click funnels, scroll maps. So we can see all of this live data, this real-time data of how users are actually interacting with the site itself. And once we start formulating these questions, then we can start building our hypotheses. And then we can start saying, if we have a more influential, persuasive headline on on our homepage that says, for really affordable, high quality insurance, I don't know, whatever it might be, click on the button below and we'll call you back. Or, by changing that headline, you can essentially have that hypothesis that says, by updating our headline, we will get 5% more clicks on that button per month. And then you've got your hypotheses. So now you can start, figuring out how to achieve that. And what I'm essentially saying to you now is that by running these personalization campaigns and connecting with specific users themselves, you are able to have a much higher chance of getting them to click that button. And then the next question that you had, I think, is, how do you get started? So now we've got our sort of basis. That obviously you want to do as much research as you can, and you want your research to be really strong, so that you know the type of messaging that you need to communicate, the type of copy that you need to use, and then you start forming who you need to communicate this messaging with. So your ideal customer profile. Start building your ideal customer profile. Is it a 22-year-old that's looking to, get their first insurance company that they're going to stay with for the rest of their life? Or is it somebody who's just bought a car at 28 years old and wants to insure their car? So whatever your ideal customer profile is, then that's when you turn to your preferred personalization platform. And then you can start implementing that tool on your pages, and then start running the personalization based on the research that you've done, the type of messaging that you want to communicate, and who you're essentially targeting, what your ideal customer profile is. I hope that answers most of your questions.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
We close the questions. Due to some time limits, we will have to wrap up the webinar. Before we say bye, please, there is a handout available in the webinar control panel. Please feel free to download it. It is actually an ebook copy, Small Tests, Big Wins, that includes some 10 ideas from the world's leading brands. And I'm confident that people here, whoever attended the webinar, must have learned a lot from this session. Thank you so much once again, Miles, for your time and putting such an effort to create wonderful presentation.
Amazing. Thanks, Shilpa.
Yes, please feel free to connect with Miles. His coordinates are on screen. Thank you, everyone, for being here, and we appreciate sticking with us till the end and being close listener to Miles.
Amazing, guys. Thanks so much. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn and drop in any other questions you may have.
Yes. Once this webinar is closed, please fill the survey that will turn up. Your feedback will help us a lot. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day and a year ahead. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cool. Bye, guys.